It's K9 Kung Fu, the one, the only, low, low. Not the greatest, but surely entertaining. What's good? We want to do a little video today about the three top things that are the most difficult to deal with as a service dog handler. All of them you don't really expect as a beginner, as someone who's just going out in the world. And I want to try to warn people and give you kind of a better idea of the kind of things you're going to be dealing with. I've actually kept this all to things you're going to be dealing with when it comes to the public. The public are definitely going to be the ones that are going to be stressing you depending on your area. Now there's a bit of a cultural component. Like, I'm in Nova Scotia, Canada. The culture here around service dogs is not that great, and you're also dealing with, like, this is how I dress when I'm working out, in between working out, even, and I'm often on the way to the gym or on the way to a workout. So, like, obviously I try not to show my tattoos, but I mean, people see someone like this and don't necessarily expect them to be disabled enough to even have a service dog, or they might stereotype me as someone who stole the dog if the dog is nice enough. That hasn't happened to me so much yet because it's very obvious that my dog and me have a bond, but that is something that can happen. And there's definitely been moments where people have in Canada, people do soft accusations a lot of the times because they don't really like conflict. So there's definitely been times where the vibe has been there, but the person didn't feel confident enough to say anything. Those aren't even like top three, because those aren't things that I think that every service handler is going to deal with. Those are things that are very much a part of certain identities that you might bring to the table as a disabled person. So, what is number one? Number one in general is just how much more you're going to be seen and visible to the public, while also, if you have a well trained dog, the dog is not going to be as obtrusive as people would think. What you will find is people will do things that are very disrespectful to you and your dog, and depending on the culture you're around, you might not have the right to defend yourself in the same way. Canada, I will talk about, is a very difficult place because people don't really stand up to defend people as much. They are very the Canadians, as an old blood here, old but young. What I've seen of Canadian behavior has really changed in the last little bit. There is less of a like a identity, like a shared identity. So, like, when things are happening to you, I find what ends up happening is I have to, like, either get really loud or just stay calm but defend my boundaries. But I've had people do some pretty awful things to both my service dogs. So you need to be prepared for the potentiality of your service dog being assaulted by the public, and people don't tell you about that. People don't warn you about that, but that is something that could happen one day. Now, has it happened a lot when you think about the fact that I pretty much use a service dog when I had one every day? If we're talking about on a daily basis, no. I would say maybe in Xena's career that was short, blue-eyed dog. I'd say it happened one time, one serious time though, that was really messed up, and I defended her from that. I put my body in between me and the bus driver, by the way. And the second, and with Gohan, it's also happened on buses, so that's another thing to consider. A lot of service dog handlers don't take the bus; they usually do Uber, and then you're fighting with Uber and taxis. And I just find that, like, where now I have pretty much Metro Transit trained, they're gonna leave me alone. My local transit trained. And that's something else you got to consider too, is if you're in a small town, eventually you will gain the reputation that you need to move through society pretty safely. Once you've advocated for yourself at enough places, I just go to management. I just go straight to management. I'm an adult though, I'm in my 30s, so it's a little bit easier for me to do that. If you're younger, I would recommend having a parent or a mentor that can just advocate for you really, really well. If you have struggles advocating for yourself as a service dog handler, put those comments down below, and hopefully me and other people in the community that are watching these videos can give you guys some sort of feedback on that. It really does depend on the culture, the area, and your local laws. This second one, second one, second one, second one, second one that I really wish more people would tell me about, or warn me about, or warned the community about, is like, you're gonna get normie friends. And what do I mean by normie friends is like, when you're disabled, there's a tendency to be chronically online because it's one of the few places you can socialize. But then, like, you get out in the world more with your service dog, and then suddenly you find that like normal people want to be your friend, but they don't want to be your friend. But what I want you to be able to do is differentiate between the people that genuinely want to be your friend because you and the dog together have interested them. Because you know a lot of these people would not pay attention to you if it was not for your service dog. And then who I call dog diddlers. Now, who are dog diddlers? Dog diddlers are people that make friends with, it's usually a service dog handler, but anyone with a dog, really. They make friends with someone with a dog just to get access to their dog, and they don't actually care about the human being. It's on the spectrum of dog fascism, but that's not a spectrum, that's a spiral. I digress. On the spiral of dog fascism, there's those that think that it's actually a good endeavor of their time to go out of their way to befriend someone just so they can get access to the dog. And now these people are like, because these are people that might even consider, wait, they like, if they hear that you might be dying, they might consider, well, maybe I can befriend them enough to get the dog. Like, these people are crazy. These people are very manipulative, and they're very transactional, and you gotta watch out for them because there's a lot more of them than you would think in this world. And then there are those that will try to use the dog as a vector just to get to know you, and that's a different thing, and that's something down to individualness. I used to like that when I just had a dog for PTSD, but once I got into like, my dog has to alert, my dog has to tell me about my heart condition, my dog has to tell me about this, and this. Once I started getting more into like response and alert in my service dog, I started not liking it as much. I also don't like it in certain places because it's very easy for you to become a mascot. And in narcissistic environments, which there are a lot of nowadays, people will try to mascot you really fast, and it depends. Like, some people are very good at handling that. If you're someone that has like high social skills to handle that kind of like social maneuvering, go for it. But just be careful that you're not setting up other service dog handlers in the future to be harmed by tokenism. Now, the last one is really strange, and I think it's the strangest one. And I didn't encounter it as much with my first dog, Xena, because Xena was, people would say, more for emotional support. That's not true. She's still alerted to certain things. She still had very set tasks, but she wasn't as much of a mobility dog due to her size. Now, as I've gotten older, I've learned to lean on my dog's mobility needs because, like, I'm a glass cannon. I'm very strong, but I have some very, very strong weaknesses. Kind of like a Mega Beedrill, I'd say. Kind of like a Mega Beedrill. Anyway, I digress. As I've learned to lean on my service dog more, I've found that with certain people, it's like they try to do the tasks of your service dog for you. Now, this is a really, really strange thing. I've seen it happen in a couple different environments. Like, one way is I've seen people try to almost adopt body blocking, like, and I don't know if this is an unconscious thing or if like it's a way of trying to build rapport. It's very weird, and it's not like an everyone thing. It's just generally when I start to build a relationship with certain people, these individuals, it's like they can pick up. It's like they pick up on what I'm doing with my dog, but they're not social enough to be able to have like a conversation directly about it, and they want to have the level of safety in the relationship because I don't really trust people behaviorally. I observe and report to myself based on the observations of the behaviors I'm seeing of people, just to check for, like, I'm a very vulnerable person and I need to make sure that I'm not being taken advantage of, and that can happen very easily when you're out there trying to share with the world. So I do need to make sure, like, hey, this behavior actually makes sense. Like, I need to protect myself because I don't have many people, I have more people looking out for me, but I went for a phase where it was just me and my dog against the world. So those people, I think, like, everyone picks that up. Everyone picks it up when you don't trust them. And it was never anything personal, but what ended up happening is, like, individuals would try to, like as I was saying, mimic certain behaviors. So the body blocking one was weird. It sounds super parasocial. I'm using that word incorrectly, but I only noticed that because the more obvious ones were happening. So the dog picks up dropped objects. I've had multiple people just like try to race my dog to like pick up an object. Or if my dog normally hits a button, I've had people run to hit the button first. Or like I'm in the middle of giving my dog the command and the person just interrupts the command and goes, oh, I can do that. And it's like, that's not actually helpful. Because what are you teaching my dog? My dog is learning, oh, if they say that, another human might do it. No, that's actually could be very helpful if you were doing rival behavioral conditioning, but that's not what's happening. I'm not too sure why this happens. It's one of the most crazy things I've ever seen people do. And I don't know if I didn't have a service dog before, if I would even naturally do that. It just seems like something people naturally do to try to be helpful. But it's actually undermining your independence on your service dog team if that's not a dynamic you've agreed to. Um, and I don't know how many people are mature enough to actually talk that dynamic out if you're not in an intimate, super intimate relationship, right? All right, so that's my top three. Which ones are the ones that stand out to you, right? Did you expect that people would be trying to help you and get in your way sometimes? Did you expect that the public would be crazy? Let me know. I'm interested. If you like this type of long form content, subscribing gets you more benefits, I would argue, than just coming to this channel randomly, because you get information given to you directly on the days it happens and you don't have to catch up.